Well, happy Goddess Day. I'm going to draw from the secret book of John. It's also known as the Apocryphon of John, and this is part of the Gnostic writings that were discovered in the Nag Hammadi library. This was sometime in the 1940s. So my particular version reads the secret book of John, and it's part of a book called The Other Bible, which is a collection of Gnostic writings, apocryphal writings, and other writings that, the council chose to ignore for whatever reason. And I'm going to try not to get too caught up in this, and it's difficult for me, because I like to go deep. But the author wrote, and here's one other thing I was told I should add to this, is that this particular book was written in the early centuries, the first through the 10th century, sometime in that time frame. So, anyway, this author wrote that, and they are referring to the absolute. In Gnostic writings, there is a difference between what is the entity called or referred to as Jehovah and what the Gnostics call the source, the absolute, the aeon. There are a lot of different words for that, but it all comes down to, in the Gnostic system of belief or philosophy, there is something beyond what we call God. And this is what they're referring to. And they're referring to this source, that it is the immeasurable light, the holy and pure purity, the indescribable, perfect, and imperishable. It's not perfection or beatitude or deity, but something far more excellent. What do you think about that? Far more excellent. It's not deity. It's not God. And as I was looking through this, reading this, I presented this once before through Circle of Light. It's on YouTube. But I'm almost inspired to do it again, because this also can be equated to the development of you, and you. Something beyond what you see yourself now. Potentially called the primal self, the first self, the original self, all those terms are confusing. Because we call it the authentic self, the Christ self. We have all these names for the same thing. And the idea is that before you came into that body, there was nothing there to compare you to. Therefore, there's nothing to perfect. Because the only way to discover imperfection is to compare yourself to something else. And what is it that we do now that we're here? Oh, I wish I had that. Ooh, I got to have that. Oh, yeah, we're always comparing ourselves. And we know better, but we still do it. So, what are your thoughts about potentially being that source?
Got a long way to go.
A long way to go to where?
A little mind blowing. Yeah. Just, it seems very far away.
How about you, Shay?
It's hard to fathom. It's just very difficult to fathom. I mean, I'm always reaching for source. I always ask for help to do better, but do I ever achieve it? I don't think so. You know, I mean, better than yesterday, probably.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's good enough, then I'm doing okay.
How about you, Beth?
Exactly. It's beyond the confines of my mind at this stage.
Baby steps.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you can do.
Something that's beyond the beyond.
There's a little something that Jesus is said to have taught. And that is, where dwells the Father?
Where dwells the Father?
Where dwells the Father? Where dwells God? Exactly. Exactly. Within. Where is the source?
Right.
Also within.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you are the source. The unfathomable part is, good God, how did I get all this confused?
Because there's
You mean they were wrong?
so much distraction.
Distractions. And just to reinforce this, the fount of the Spirit flowed out of the living water of light. Now we're talking about the source. We're talking about something, as you put it, incomprehensible. Not infinite. Because everybody thinks infinite just keeps going on and on and on and on and on. When infinite means incomprehensible. It's like the grains of sand on the beach. There's an infinite number. The number doesn't go on and on and on. It's just the number is incomprehensible. Therefore, the source is incomprehensible. And the fount of the Spirit flowed out of the living water of light. Now, Spirit is what moves us. We are souls. We're not spirits. We are souls. Because in the beginning, if we go back to Genesis, spirit and soul are not the same. God breathed into Adam, breathed the Spirit into Adam, which made Adam a living soul. Of course, I don't want to get hung up on Adam because it's God's day. So, the Spirit flowed out of the living water of light. Now, water represents consciousness. Light represents the intellect, the mind. So we have that animating force flowing out of this, which makes it a thought, an idea. Okay? Are you with me so far? It understood its own image when it saw it in the pure water of light which surrounds it, and its thought became operative. We just said that. Thoughts, ideas, flowing outward. What is the nature of mind? To think. You come up with ideas. its thought became operative and revealed herself. Uh-oh, Adam's in trouble. Revealed herself, and she stood before it out of the splendor of the light. She stood before the source. She, not he, she stood before the source. Out of the splendor of the light. Mind. What is it that our mind does? It gives birth to ideas. Which is the power which is before the all. She is love. She is power. Before the all, which is the source. The power which has revealed itself and is the perfect forethought of the universe. Now, forethought. What is forethought?
You know, that's a good question. How can you have a thought before a thought? The thought is a thought. It's there.
True,
Unless they're meaning,
but forethought.
I know.
Not before, but forethought. Anybody?
Spirit, your spirit's thoughts.
Close.
Before they come to here.
Close. Close. What does forethought mean? What does forethought mean?
The thoughts that that came before thought.
No.
Forefathers are the fathers that came before the fathers.
No.
Yes, it is.
No.
It is.
I'm too much in my mind to grasp it right now.
So I could have my information for me. I had the
Presence of mind to ahead of time? I don't know.
yes.
Something
Oh, you
like
mean
that.
planning?
Like planning? Yeah, okay. Yeah.
It's a lot of words, but
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
The presence of mind to think ahead. Forethought. What is it that your mind does?
Well, it does plan. It does. I have to do this today. I have to do this. I need to make a list. If I can't have forethought, at least I have a list.
That's forethought. That's forethought.
Well, so you have an idea. If you want to put it into action, you got to make a plan. You got to think out the steps to make that action real or actionable. To make it happen.
Shay?
I'm here with you, but I'm struggling.
Okay. What's giving you problems?
I'm not sure where we're going with this, and I'm not grasping the bigger picture to be able to kind of hone in.
Okay. Think of you. Forget about the big picture. Think of you. Okay, so you are the source. Okay. Your mind is the source. Because there's nothing to compare your mind to, because there's nothing there. You with me so far? Okay, so now the mind is neither male energy or female energy, because it is both. It's like Adam was supposed to be. And what is it that the mind get an idea. Ooh, I like this. I like this. Now, what do I need to accomplish this? Forethought. What do you want to do with that idea? Forethought, which is to think ahead, to see ahead. So all of this makes sense now?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the idea. You are the big picture.
Okay.
Just like Beth is the big picture and Sharon is the big picture. Now, if we want to come down to this level, all right, so what is the number one thing women are known for or expected to do? Nurture. And who is it that typically has no clue, it's not concerned about nurturing anything?
The male.
Exactly. So, the mothers, the women, the goddesses, show the way for the men to nurture, because the only way to grow is to nurture everyone else. Because what is it that men are very good at?
Mucking things up.
Mucking things up. Exactly. Exactly. So what are your thoughts? Who wants to go first?
Well, it kind of ties into what you said in the beginning about, pre-written history, clans, communities, tribes, whatever, probably tended to be matriarchal in scope.
We'd like to think that, but in all actuality, it was more of an equality thing. It was, everything was, I won't say harmony. Everything was harmonious. Not only was there a wise old woman in the clan, there was a wise old man in the clan too. Not only were men shaman, but so were the women. In spiritualism, most of the mediums are female. Do you know why that is?
Because we are more in touch with our emotions.
Keep going.
We also tend to be more nurturing.
There you go. It's that nurturing aspect that your typical male has to learn. And nurturing is female energy. Does it make sense? Now, like I said, a lot of people would like to be of the opinion that before it was all male gods, it was all female gods. But it wasn't. Because in those equatorial cultures, which was all agriculture, those responsibilities were blended. There were no gender issues at the time. There was simply you, me, and the others. And then the Aryans came down from the north, which is down from the mountains, and brought El Shaddai. Or all the other male gods. That one just comes to mind because Archie Bottom tells us that that was what Abraham called God. El Shaddai, God of the mountain. El means God. And then he set out and knocked all the women down. No, that's not the way it happened. It happened eventually, because as they moved down, you will read these myths where the males kind of sidled up to the females and then strangled them, essentially. Took control. They kind of sidled up to them, took control, because in the underworld, the lord of the underworld, Ereshkigal, was female. Ishtar, female. The seasons are all represented by female. It's always the female. The men just take credit. How does that sit with you, Shay? Because I see you over there with your mind churning.
Yeah, because it's been a struggle for me all my life to try and fit in. The woman's side of me wasn't wanted in any capacity, not by my parents, not by the people I've worked for, not when I speak up, that's the male side of me trying to come through and fit in too. So this whole description that it's always been like this, and I'm living it, and it just can't resolve. When does it balance? Where's the harmony? You know what I mean?
You want to know where the harmony is?
Yeah.
Accept it. Serious.
That's so simple.
It is. Look in nature.
Yeah.
Look in nature. A monkey goes up to another monkey and smacks him in the face. The monkey, what'd you do that for? And the next thing you know, they're chummy.
I'm going to remember that example.
Now, that doesn't mean that the monkey forgot. But it does mean that the monkey doesn't hold a grudge either. You see that in nature. Squirrels chasing each other about. They're fun to watch. And then the next time you're looking out there, one squirrel's beating up on the other squirrel. An hour later, they're chasing each other all over the place. Accept it. Accept it. Before you can achieve harmony, you have to accept yourself for who you are and what you are. You have to accept yourself. And until you do that, you'll always work against yourself. Don't ask me why, it just happens to work out that way. It's the way it was with me. Until I stood on top of that pole, my life, oh my God, my life was horrible. Oh man, it was difficult. I was sick a quarter of the time, stood on top of that pole, and experienced what I should have experienced a long time ago. And when I walked away from that event, I knew that my life was crap, problematic, because I chose it to be that way. So I started choosing things differently. Sounds simple, doesn't it? But it's not. But it is. It's the idea of accepting it. And before you really feel good about everything, you have to clean up all this crap behind you. Because I had to clean up all that crap behind me. Now that most of that crap's cleaned up back there, I don't know if it all is, I'm sure something will come around and splat me in the face. But I know that it was somewhere along the lines, it was my choice. I accepted it. And because I accepted it, it's my problem. until I let go of it. But before we can let go, we have to understand, right? So hopefully that will help you out. So you'll have to think about it a long time to find a perspective that makes sense to you. And that's the thing. There is no universal truth because we're all different. So you've got the pieces. Now you just have to rearrange them in a fashion that makes sense to you. What are your thoughts, Sharon?
Well, two things were coming to mind. One is when Reverend Thomas always talking about the male and female energy and the balance and how we are kind of moving into this Aquarian age where the female energy is rising up, is becoming more out there. And when you look at the evolution of men and women in the past 50 years, you kind of look at that, where women have taken on greater roles in everything. I had someone tell me yesterday, here's just a tiny example, or Thursday, I went to vote, and there was a man, the man at the table where you put your ballot in, he started talking and he had an accent and I started up a conversation. But anyway, he was a dentist and he went to school at the University of Buffalo, which is kind of where we got going. Well, he said, when I went to dental school, there were absolutely no females in the dental program. This is probably maybe 55, 60 years ago. He said today, 60%, 60 out of 90 or 60 out, was a lot, are women. This could never have happened back then. So the tides are turning, the trends are changing. Women's roles have absolutely changed in my lifetime, and yours, of course. My mother didn't work, and I think for her that probably was a bad thing. I think some women need to have other things in their life than getting up and sending your kids off to school and cleaning the bathroom.
Absolutely.
I mean seriously, what do you do with? I send my kids to school and they clean the bathroom and they cook meals and I wash everybody's dirty clothes. And it's not that those things aren't, from a Zen point of view, they're all part of life. They are, and if you look at them as a treasury, they are always going to be. But if you try to do those tasks as they are, they need to be done
with honor.
See them as necessary. So I don't mean it quite that way, but if that's all you have in your life, and there's no way to grow, there's no other purpose. Anyway, my point was women have certainly changed the landscape of the U.S. and the world. Men don't like it. I think men have fought it, and I think one of the reasons why men, the whole culture has changed. They don't, they're not standing up there beating their chests anymore, like it's my way, I'm the head of the house, or that kind of thing. That whole dynamic has changed.